G'day guys, Chronicles of Solid here and welcome back to another episode of Adventure News, the place where we talk the latest, the greatest and sometimes the hated adventure and dual sport stories. The first story is a surprising one. Harley Davidson blindsided the adventure bike community with the announcement of the Pan America 1250 adventure bike, which they say is set for release in 2020. When I first saw this story, I thought it was an elaborate prank until I reached the official Harley Davidson page, and wouldn't you know it, this story is actually true. Now this is technically not Harley Davidson's first adventure bike. That crown goes to the Buell Ulysses, which had quite a cult following in its day. There are only a few details, but we do have some good pictures of the concept bike to have a look at. The Pan America will be powered by an all-new 60-degree 1250cc V-twin. Harley has assured us that the Pan America will have a fully upright seating position with real off-road capability. The aesthetics of the bike are most certainly different and divisive, judging by forum discussion. I for one kind of like the quirky looks, but I know that I might be in the minority on this one. I do think those indicators on the handguards should go before it reaches production. They are an expensive accident waiting to happen. And I know some of you might be making the argument that this bike is an expensive accident waiting to happen. But I do like the inclusion of large adjustable windscreen and the crash bars. I suspect the price and weight will be very important for this bike's success. This brings me to my next point. If you're looking for a video bashing Harley's bold move to enter the adventures segment, this is not that video. That's not to say it isn't good fun to have a laugh between friends, but disregarding any merit because of prejudice just displays insecurity and ignorance. I'm happy to acknowledge a manufacturer's contribution to the industry, and you have to hand it to Harley Davidson for the following that they have garnered. Now, in saying that, I'm not a Harley guy. I've only ever ridden one cruiser in my life, but I recognise the appeal. I think it's great that Harley Davidson are entering the adventure bike category because it is different, and I like different. Situations like this breathe new life into the category and bring with it fresh ideas and perspectives. Regardless of the utility of those ideas, variety is the spice of life, and more competition creates potential to draw new riders into the off-road segment, which is a good thing in my book. But let me know your thoughts and comments in the section below. I'm sure you've got some strong opinions, so have at it, guys. So last month, I was getting very excited about what direction the 390 could potentially take. I was really hoping for a dirt-focused kind of rally weapon. Well, less than 24 hours after I posted that video, sure enough, spy shots were caught of the 390 Adventure. From these pictures, it's clear that KTM have not gone for the rally style at all. From the spy shots, it's definitely a middle-of-the-road adventure bike. Well, what makes me say this? Well, the wheel size is a pretty good giveaway. Most sites are saying that it's a 19-inch, 17-inch setup. I tend to agree looking at those pictures. They've chosen not to go for the more dirt-orientated 21-18 setup. And then there is also the exhaust, which is routed under the engine, meaning ground clearance has been sacrificed as a result. These are both strong indicators that KTM are aiming for a good all-round adventure bike rather than a more dirt-focused rally bike. Some of you out there, myself included, may be a bit disappointed on the direction that the KTM is taking. However, as a friend who is in the market for a small adventure bike said, this would be perfect for a lot of people. He has a 300 EXE for serious off-road jobs and is looking for a light adventure bike to complement the 300 EXE. From what I'm seeing in the images, the 390 Adventure will slot right between the Versys X300 and Honda's 250 Rally. Hopefully it will be lightweight, competent adventure bike that you can pick up without rupturing your spleen. Now I've ridden both the 250 Rally and the Versys X300. The X300 was particularly good, but I did think it needed a little bit more torque to be that perfect bike. And I think this is where the KTM could really come in. With a claimed 43 horsepower and 37 Newton meters of torque, KTM could really have a shot of hitting the sweet spot. It's got a 6-speed gearbox, adjustable WP suspension, spoke wheels, a TFT screen, top rack and a decent fairing. The 390 will also potentially have ride-by-wire throttle, which allows a whole host of electronic aids. This could make the 390 a great little adventure bike, road focused enough to make a practical commuter and a long distance adventure tourer, enough poke to handle the highway, and perhaps light enough to take a gamble. Reliability will be the final question, but what do you guys think? Sticking with Team Pumpkin, we have the KTM 790 Adventure. The prototype has been making the rounds for publicity, and KTM have let slip a few more details on the bike. The biggest and most encouraging piece of information is that KTM are claiming the rally-style fuel tank will get you 400 kilometers of range. For many of us doing big distance and remote trips, one of the first things we need to change on a bike is the fuel tank to get more range. It's nice to see KTM have come to the table on this one and are offering a decent stock fuel tank. The other piece of information is so obvious it barely needs confirmation, and that's that the 790 Adventure Twins engine has been retuned for better low-end performance for the Adventure's dirt applications. And finally, the last story of the day is Moto Guzzi's V85. A pre-production version of the V85 has been spied, tested out on the road. Now this gives us a much better idea of what we can expect out of the production model as far as looks are concerned. The good news is the changes appear only to be minor. We can see that there is a side rack system for luggage mounting, which is great. There also looks to be a small bash plate. The valve covers have slightly smaller cooling fins, and the windscreen looks more angular than what was on the prototype. The headlights have been modernized and in my opinion look similar to the Triumph Tigers. I personally don't like the modern look. Most of the charm the prototype had for me was its retro aesthetic. If it were up to me, I'd rather they kept the original headlights from the concept, but I'd like to know what you guys think. Do you prefer the more modern angle this is taking, or do you prefer the more retro concept? Now before I go, I had an idea for a new video format. I get a lot of comments and questions on my Instagram, on my Facebook, Twitter, and often I don't always get to respond to every single question. Now I had thought that it might be a good idea to have a video series where you could send in your questions and I could have a Q&A session with you guys. So let me know if that's a video you'd be interested in. Speaking of comments and questions, don't forget to leave them down in the comment section below, and any sources on this material will also be in the description down below. As always, I've been Chronicles of Solid, and I'll see you in the next video. Catch you later.